We are living in uncertain times, and I think that that might be a statement that every generation say because as we evolve, people change, things change, and we experience things that are just unnatural, I guess, and you know, we're not accustomed to it, so it's just strange behaviors. And one of the behavior is hatred because it's being displayed so openly these days. Welcome to the Always On Mute podcast, where we know not everyone was born with a mic in their hand or a megaphone in their mouth, but we still have something to say because quiet is still a voice. Welcome back to the Always On Mute podcast. My name is Antonia, and this is a space where the quiet things that we generally like to basically keep inside is shared. And tonight I wanted to talk about today, basically the way that people are behaving today. As an introvert, I am usually still am actually. I like to just basically like just observe. Oftentimes I don't react or even give offer my opinion. I just like to observe and process and keep it pushing. I do my best to stay away from the news. As a matter of fact, I only turn on the news. I only turn on my television three days a week, and those are the mornings when I have to go to the office. And it's to hear about the what's going on with the Long Island Railroad and PATH train, and also the weather. That's it. I get most of my information from YouTube, and I do my best to basically navigate the places where I would like to be. Unfortunately, these days, everything is everywhere. So you turn on anything and everything is basically in your face. Tonight, I wanted to talk though about where we are as a people in terms of the way that we treat each other. There was a time when um, people who are not caring for certain skin tones, when we had to wonder, do you think they are? Because they never used to come out and say it. But the climate that we're living in now, um, they feel okay to basically remove the veil and act accordingly. Now, me for one, I'm actually glad, right? Because now at least I know who they are. But it's actually also sad because I know that when we were babies, that's not how it was, right? And I also know that according to what I've been taught, that we all came from the same place, right? So if we all came from the same place, why does the world treat dark skin like it's something to fear, right? Now, I did some, I don't know, thinking and some researching via ChatGPT, and I decided that I wanted to share it because it was quite interesting. And I think that it might cause you to change the way that you see things also, because it did for me, right? Last year, um, I was watching a Roland S. Martin episode, and Jane Elliott was the guest. And she said a whole lot of things. She said a whole lot of things that, man, it made me stop cold. It made me basically stop in my tracks because she said things that I had never considered before, never heard before. And it was like, wow, right? And every so often I think about it. And there are times when I actually share with people what she has said, and I also encourage not a whole lot of people because I don't talk to a whole lot of people, but like some of whom I communicate with to check her out. Um, for those who don't know, Jane Elliott is a beige. I was gonna say white, right? So she is what we're accustomed to saying, a white lady. But Jane Elliott on the episode and everywhere else, because then the other day I was basically like just scrolling on YouTube, and I saw a bunch of her shorts videos and some of the long ones because she is interviewed. She has been interviewed a lot over the years. And one of the things that she said on Roland Martin's um, episode is that because he referred to her as white, and she said, "You all have to stop using that language, white and black. There's no such thing. There's only one race, the human race." And I was like, "Okay, go on, lady." And then she said, um, we're all shades of brown. There is no white, because then she had on, I think if I remember correctly, she had on a white shirt. And she's, because her thing is just like, this is white, like the paper. You can't see the paper, but, her thing is that's white. I'm not white, and it made me think like, ooh, she right. It's crazy. It's so crazy, how for some reason people just become bitter. I never forget, like one morning, about a month and a half ago, the train pulled in to the path station in Manhattan, and a lady. So the way that those trains work is they open the door where the passengers on the train should exit, and they wait to open the door for the passengers to enter. But for some reason, some folks choose to exit on the side where we're entering. And I was standing there, I think it was a Monday morning, and I was standing, and a white lady was exiting the train. And she, for some reason, she felt like doing this to me. And when she walked away, she's carrying on. And I looked at her, being another black lady, like we looked at her and we laughed. And I'm like, good Lord, why is she behaving like that so early in the morning? And then I realized that it's sad, but they hate us. There's some white people that truly just hate black people. And for the life of me, I do not know why. Now, for me, like as a quiet person, like someone who usually, quiet, um, not speaking much shit, not causing any kind of commotion, and usually just observing. And it just makes me wonder, like, why are people so bitter now? Why are people so mean? I'm able to kind of see through some of the behaviors, and I know when someone just wants to get a rise out of someone, and I pray to God that I will always have the strength to not give anyone the satisfaction of causing me to behave in a manner that is not becoming of me. Because I do see where people are getting more and more testy, and it's like, calm down. You're gonna cause yourself to have an aneurysm. It's not even worth it. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I I don't know. It's crazy. Um, but anyway, so the episode, when Jane Elliott said those things, right? It caused me to basically like just listen keenly, because I felt like I'm hearing something that made sense that I never heard before. And I just wanted her to say more. And I just wish that everyone would watch any episode of Jane, because if you go online and search for Jane Elliott, everything will pop up, right? I actually, one of the videos that popped up, and now that I'm thinking about it, I had seen her prior to last year, because years ago, and I say it now because I saw a video a couple of days ago, and then it brought me back to the first time that I saw it. And Jane was on stage. There's a younger Jane, and she was on stage, and there was an auditorium filled with people. And I do not remember verbatim what she said, but it was something along the lines of, would you, gosh darn it, I don't remember exactly what it was, but she was asking the audience if they would want to be treated the way that Black people are treated. No, raise your hands. That's what it was. I think she said, raise your hands if you would want to be treated the way that Black people are treated. And no one raised their hands. And she said, wait a second, I don't think you understood the assignment. And she repeated it. And still no one raised their hands. And, she responded something along the lines of, you're right. You didn't raise your hands because you know that the way that Black people are treated is wrong. And it it it's crazy because it's all, that's that do unto others as you would like others to do unto you. And I feel like as a Black woman, I'm always feeling like, and it could be self-inflicted, feeling like, well, and things are changing now that I'm understanding myself better, but I'm always feeling like I'm not in the right space, I'm not in the right place, and I'm not wanted there. I'm learning how to take up space, and it's, basically I'm doing that on the train now, where I'm no longer choosing to stand if there is a seat that a bag paid for. I will kindly ask the person, usually a white man, to excuse me, may I sit here, please? Because I feel like if you don't want me to sit next to you, then you can get up and vacate this seat, right? Because we all paid. But anyway, excuse me. Um, Jane Elliott, that episode, it never left my brain because it didn't just inform me, it left me with thoughts that stayed until now, right? It made me start to ask questions about where we truly came from, not what we were taught in school, not what we were taught in school, but the deeper truth that connects your story to mine, your ancestors to mine, your breath to mine, right? I'm a Black woman. I'm an introvert, and I have spent most of my life in rooms where my silence felt too loud, where my skin seemed to speak before I did. For years, I carried that quiet weight, the belief that, well, maybe I don't belong, right? Now, I will be fair and say that it isn't in every space, but I just feel like lately, it just feels like America and the world, right? Because I saw a video the other day of a demonstration, i.e., protests in England, and people were being interviewed and asked certain questions, and they basically wanted the immigrants out. So it's almost as if like no one wants immigrants anywhere, but aren't we all immigrants? And the reasons why they give it, it's always so foolish. It's always so foolish. It takes all kinds to make the world. And if you remove certain people from the equation, something is not going to, basically, the function that they played will be overlooked, right? So therefore, no one will be there, and it'll be felt because something is missing. Like it takes all kinds to make this wonderful world go around. What I've come to understand is that belonging was never something that we had to prove. It's something that we were born with. Belonging is a quiet birthright that no one can take away. That realization pulled me deeper into the questions. If we all share the same beginning, why does the world flinch at dark skin? Why do people fear people who are not like them? Science tells us that humanity, excuse me, began in Africa. And our ancestors were rich in melanin, perfectly adapted to the sun. Scripture tells us we descended from one couple, Adam and Eve, and later through Noah's family who scattered across the earth. Different stories, same truth. One tree, many branches. It's like Jamaica, out of many one people. One of the things that I'm struggling with, though, is if unity is our origin story, how did division become our legacy? After that thought settled in, I decided to have a conversation with ChatGPT. Because one of the things that my brain does is it be doing too much. My brain don't stop. And the reason why I actually had the conversation with ChatGPT is I saw a video pop up and there were two children, a black one and a white one. And yesterday I saw some more videos. And for me, it's one of the most beautiful things that we can see, right? Well, me, because it's pure. For the past few months, like the thought about children pop into my mind, and I consider how babies don't know hate. Babies are born, they're generally happy. They see faces, they don't see color. They see love, they see laughter, right? But at some point, something shifts. At some point, they are taught to see color, to see difference, and to basically shift away, right? So I want to share with you the conversation that I had with ChatGPT. Let me see. I said, okay, so I asked, where did Caucasian people come from? Because according to the Bible, weren't the first people from Africa? That was my question. And then ChatGPT said something that to me was profound. It said, according to the Bible, the first humans, Adam and Eve, were created in Eden, a place where scholars connect to the region between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. The Bible also teaches that all people come from one family line, Adam and Eve, and later through Noah's sons after the flood. In other words, biblically, we're all related. You hear that? We are all related. Hey, cuz. Then came the science. Modern humans, it said, originated in Africa about 200,000 to 300,000 years ago. As groups migrated north into different climates, skin tones began to change. Darker where the sun blazed, lighter where it didn't, but we all began in the same place. When I read that, I paused. I was like, say what now? It's funny, because when I think back to the Jane Elliott episode and when she was saying all that, I said to myself, Lord Jesus, if them racist people ever hear this, they'll be like, no, I ain't. Because my brain went as far as to say, what would happen if they did a 23andMe test and found that they were, like related to someone from Africa? I wonder how they would react. I mean, of course they will, right? But I wonder how they would react if they learned that it's not like distant, that it was close, right? It's just crazy how we know better, but we do not do better. Anyway, that conversation made me pause, because for me, what that demonstrated, or what I'm learning, is that the first skin was indeed dark, and that it's not just history, it is heritage. So basically, for me, Jane Elliott was correct. I mean, I didn't doubt her for a second, because that lady knows her thing. So much so that, when I remember, one of the things that I remember from that episode was she shared that she was actually banned from speaking in schools. Because why would they want people to know the truth? Duh. It's so crazy. The reality of it is, now that we have the internet, the stories will live on. So you can tear down the libraries and um, reject certain, conversations and certain information being shared in the schools, but reality is the information will still be out there. It is what it is. Anyway, if unity is our origin story, how did the division become our legacy? Right? I will I like to say that I see the world with rose-colored glasses on. It's better that way. I appreciate being in my bubble. I love being an introvert for the mere fact that I can choose to just withdraw when I need to. And during these times, it can be heavy, right? It can be very heavy, not knowing what's going to happen from 1 month to the next, 1 week to the next, 1 day to the next, 1 minute to the next. And so I choose to separate myself, right? I choose to consume some, not all, right? Because it is good to know, but I limit it once it becomes heavy, because the reality of it is, I don't know, like we are all God's children, and He is not pleased with this behavior. Why can't we go back to a time when, like the babies, we just laugh and basically like just love? Why not? Right? Darker skin isn't, we're not cursed. We're not. What broke? Like, what broke in us? What broke in humans for us to go from being these innocent children that doesn't see color, only love, to seeing color and hate? And what's crazy is sometimes I see some videos, and some of the ones that's doing the most, they end up, I'm so sorry, I'm bad. And it's like, but you knew better. Like, why'd you do that? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. Like, we teach children how to be kind, how to be polite, how to, we teach children. And I think that we should continue teaching children right from wrong, because we know what's right and wrong, right? If a child does something wrong, they should be corrected, because they can pick up bad behaviors outside. It can. But then the onus is on us to basically get them back on track. History didn't just record our differences, it ranked them: colonization, slavery, empire building. Melanin, that ancient protection, was rebranded as a problem. Even sacred texts were twisted to justify hate. And that's the thing about the archives. The archives, like the Bible was written by man, and so it was interpreted however they interpreted it. And over the years, it keeps being reinterpreted. So now we have to basically use our discernment and pick sense from nonsense. Scripture still says, from one man, he made all nations. The divide wasn't written in heaven, it was built by human hands hungry for power. And it continues. Because as I watch on a daily basis all what's going on, and you know what's crazy? All of these things, or some of them, no. But I'm about to say they probably were happening before, but they were not. Not at this scale. Not at this scale. But let's pretend as if, some of what's happening has always happened. Not the color part, just the other crazy. I feel like it might have been done in such a way that it was done silently. It's almost like now the America is on stage. Everybody's windows are open, everybody's doors are open. So now we get to see and hear everything. And it's like, oh my God, can we turn the TV off like Kendrick recommended, please? Because it gets to be a lot. And the thing is, it's like, what happens to the children are watching? Back in my day, there were certain things like parents were careful to not have certain conversations around children because they knew that it wasn't for our ears. What happened to that? What happened to that behavior and that belief? And now, like the new generation get to basically experience this. I'm so grateful that I was born when I was born because I experienced childhood. I experienced innocence. I experienced being able to go outside and have an imagination, create an imagination, create a story. I am so grateful that, and well, let me finish the thought. I'm grateful that I have that experience or I've had that experience. When I think about the elders who are living through each generation and seeing all of the way that things are changing and growing, I'm like, wow. I mean, the reality of it is I am a senior citizen, and so therefore I'm experiencing the same right now. Not really, and not as much, but I am, because I'm one of those who can say, man, when I was their age, fill in the blank, you excuse me, I feel as if like we are here still living in the architecture of that untruth. We are. I will continue to appreciate watching babies in their innocent little selves running towards their black friend or their white friend and hugging. There's a beautiful video on television where these two boys are walking with their parents coming from either end, and they run to each other, tiny little things, and they hug each other, and it's like, oh my God, it's so cute. It makes me feel warm and fuzzy to see that because they're innocent. And I feel like it should remain that way. Children should be shielded and guarded and protected from the nonsense. Children should be able to live and grow into the person that they are meant to be. Parents should not help them to make up their minds to hate, to be bitter, to be grudgeful, right? I remember growing up coming from Jamaica, migrated here when I was 7. And mommy used to always tell us, don't long eye after nobody and anything, meaning don't be envious of what they have, right? Because you don't know how they obtained it, right? So I've always been that way. So I don't do the whole jealousy thing. And, like I don't really like a lot of things. I like peace. I like peace. don't know, it's crazy. I do sometimes I think like some people will sit down and say, oh my gosh, I can't wait for a time when we can fill in the blank. But then I wonder, like, is that something that will even be possible? Because as the world turns, things are changing, people are growing, people are either growing more hateful, and they're young. Like, when I'm on YouTube and I'm seeing like the things coming out of people's mouths, I'm like, whoa, calm down. Why can't we be like the newborns where we don't see color? Why can't we just see faces, warmth, love? Why can't we be like toddlers on a playground and see playmates and not pigmentation? This thing is not going to end, I don't think. Because, like I said, when I watched that video in England and I saw, and they were angry. Like for each different type of people, they're like they even said Jamaicans. It's crazy. So, months ago I saw where there was some people, some white people that wanted to create their own community, and I saw videos where people said, "Well, that's fine and dandy, but just don't bring anything in there that was invented by a black person," which is dang near everything, right? So my thing is, leave my Bob Marley music alone. Leave my jerk chicken alone, because if you don't like me, then don't like our things. You know what I'm saying? Like, we arrived in this world with love. We were fluent in the language of love. Somehow or another, at some point, division is the language that we're being taught. Why? It's crazy. I can't even go back in my memory bank to see where the change could have happened. It wasn't taught by, like in my household. Like, we were never taught to hate. We were never taught to be mean or anything like that. Right? Because the reality of it is, when you come from the islands, and anybody can tell you, at least not, maybe not now, but back then, the name of the game was always have manners, always respect your elders. Because if you did something out there, Lord have mercy, you gonna get a trailer whipping from that point on all the way home, and probably like twice at home, right? Because it wasn't something that was, um, it wasn't something that was that was accepted. It's crazy. It would be nice to know when we or when a script was handed to children, to tell them that they had to notice certain things. Because it's not, like, to hate and to be mean. That's something that they're taught. That's not something that wasn't one of the, what do you call it? I don't even know how to call it, but we weren't born that way. That wasn't one of the, I can't think of what I'm trying to say. I know what I'm trying to say, but I can't articulate it. It's kind of like a computer when, like your program, right? We weren't programmed to be mean and hateful, and to see the difference in people. I mean, see differences, yes, right, but not in a mean way, right? Children don't fear difference. They don't. I mean, like, kids, like babies and toddlers, like, they'll literally walk up to anybody. They'll, like, a cute video that I saw yesterday was a white mom and her son, and they were at an outdoor dining, and this little black girl ran up to him with her little I think it was a candy dish. I think that's what it said in the comments. And she placed it down in front of him on the table because she wanted to share. And he took one, and she was, I think if I remember correctly, like she basically, she was there for a little bit, and the mom was making the most of her because it was just a cute gesture. Even the waiter was looking at her like she's adorable. And then she turned around to leave, and the mom called her back to give her back her candy dish. But then she, if I remember correctly, she placed it down again so the little boy can get another one. Why can't we be that? Like when I see acts like that, it makes me wonder: is she always going to be this way? And will he always be okay to be receiving something from a little black girl? It was really cute, and it made me in those times. It makes me realize that all is not lost because some parents are still doing the right thing. Another video that I saw yesterday, actually, saying was two little girls, and I don't remember how old they were. Maybe 5. I'm gonna just say 5. One black, one white, and they they decided that they were not just friends. They weren't friends. They were twins. And the little white girl said, because someone asked, like she was being interviewed, and she said something about her soul. And I thought to myself, well, dag nabbit, the innocence of babes, right? And it was so serious for these two little girls that the parents had to dress them like twins. So their outfits were the same, like their hair was combed the same. It was really, really beautiful. And it also for me was beautiful to see that the parents were also along for, their what they were creating. I remember that what was sad in the story though was the little black girl was teased at school. I don't remember why. And her friend was there to defend her, which I think is beautiful. There are some people who know what's right and they stand up, and I love it. I love to see when we can come together as one, because when people say, oh, I don't see color, I think that's a foolish thing to say. I mean, I think I understand what they're trying to say, but you cannot not see color. You cannot not see that this is pink, right? So to say that I don't see color, again, I understand, like what is being said or what they're trying to say, but to say that I don't see color is like, yes, you do. Maybe not in that way, but yes, you do. For me, inside the Black community, especially being a quiet person, like I have also experienced that. I don't know if hate is the right word, but I have experienced, that, when lighter skinned persons are praised and the dark skinned person is punished, it's like, oh wow, we're the same color, just a little bit lighter and darker. I mean, we've grown to understand and appreciate that that is colorism. And being from Jamaica, I will say that there is classism, right? So people, but I think that back home though, people just know their place, right? So it is a melting pot because we do have, Chinese Jamaicans, we have Indian Jamaicans, like we just have a mix. And you have the people who are basically up here because they're rich or whatever have you. You have the people down here who are poor, and in between you have like the color and the hair and the this and the that. But I don't know if racism is there. Like I don't recall ever experiencing it. And I go home just about every year. I can't ever remember experiencing it myself from my people or seeing it or even hearing about it. As far as colorism is concerned, like oppression is the teaching. Nevertheless, I have felt it. That subtle sting when someone lighter is celebrated, while I fade into the background. It's not a nice feeling at all. Sometimes people say, well, I mean, maybe you would be chosen if dot dot dot. And the thing is, no, I'm equally as a viable candidate. But anyway, the reality of it is, centuries later, we're still unlearning that untruth that we were taught. We are living in a time of tension. You can feel it under every headline, every scroll. And I will keep on asking, what are we so afraid of? What are we afraid of? Maybe it's not a fear of each other. Maybe it's the fear of the truth. Because you know how they say that the truth hurts, but I mean, if it's the truth, what's the problem? If we stop dividing, we would have to face the systems we built to keep the division alive. I feel like it's just so exhausting, though, to be hateful and to be bitter. When I'm looking on YouTube and I'm seeing how enraged these people are getting, it's like, what's wrong? It's like sometimes I wonder, do they just need a hug? I think that's what it is. I feel like sometimes some people just need a hug. Because Lord knows, the same people that they're kicking, like when I watch the white people lash out at a black person, and they always tend to go to the N-word. I don't know why. It's like a weapon. But the thing is, it's being used so frequently now that after a while, it won't even matter. So then what? Because I see where they say it to hurt, like to hurt the other person. The reality of it is, the other person can respond equally as nasty, but they never do. Well, sometimes they do, but sometimes they don't. Because the reality of it is, okay, so what? I remember mommy told me when she first came to this country, she was working in a nursing home, and the lady called her the N word. And she said to the lady, I might be the N word, but guess what? I cared for my parents until they died. Were your children? And mom said that, I think it was around Thanksgiving. And when the lady's children came to visit her, she had nothing to say to them. Sticks and stones may break my bones. And I don't care what nobody say, words hurt. Words hurt. But I feel like as I'm continuing down my journey of self-discovery and learning about who I am and just people in general, I'm learning that I can choose to allow those words to hurt me or not. And I'm choosing not. Listen, I'm trying to basically protect my peace. I feel like that's the name of the game, is to basically protect your peace by any means necessary. What if everything that we were taught about skin was backwards? Melanin isn't a flaw, it's brilliance. It's protection. It's legacy. The reality of it is, I like to get my tan, right? But those people that hate us so much, they like to get their tan on too. And sometimes they even put on makeup to kind of get a nice little shade of brown. Why? You hate it so much. Oh God. The difference was never God's mistake. It was God's artistry. The vision has always been harmony. Every nation, every tribe, every language, one chorus. If the lie was man-made, the truth can be retaught, right? So by parents raising children to see beauty in every shade, by communities refusing to pass down colorism, by quiet voices like mine saying we belong. We belong. We always did. So, yes, that thought crossed my mind one day and it never left. And I don't think it ever will because we are living in this moment. And I don't think that this moment is going to pass anytime soon. The fact is, we came here from one place, one source, one intention, one humanity. Jane Elliott was correct. The divide was not in our DNA, it was written into our history. But history isn't finished yet. I have spent so many years shrinking in spaces, years questioning my worth. But I have learned that belonging does not need permission. What scientists and historians agree on is this: the earliest humans most likely had dark skin, not as a theory of superiority, but as an adaptation, a reflection of the African sun and the brilliance of survival. It's not speculation, it's evidence and evolution working together. And the truth to me is beautiful. So maybe the real question isn't why is there still hate, but what would the world look like if we finally believed the truth? The mysteries of life. If this episode made you consider and think as deeply as I did, if a question popped up, a memory, or maybe you have a feeling that you can't name, I want to hear from you. Drop in a comment below. When did you first learn to see difference? And what would it take to unlearn it? Please share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. If you have not subscribed yet, I wish that you will subscribe to my channel, to this channel, Always On Your Podcast, because these are the conversations the world needs, even when it's quiet. Thank you very much for joining me once again. And until next time, please remember, you belong. You always did. Take care.